Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a quilted pincushion. It's all hand sewing, not a lot of sewing, so fairly easy project. A couple pictures before I showed you all the supplies that you're going to need. Pretty easy project, so let's get started. So we're going to start with a 7-inch circle. We're going to take our needle with a fairly long thread on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over to the back side and we're just going to do a running stitch all the way around. So a running stitch is just basically about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. You're just going to take your needle and you're just going to go weave it back and forth. And we're just going to make a gather. Okay? And give that a pull. You're going to just do this all the way around. So now you could do this on your sewing machine, just do a really long stitch, but I just thought we'd try this without today. We'll just do a running stitch by hand. So this little pin cushion is fairly easy to make. It's fairly decorative. You can use whatever type of material you want, whatever pattern you want. That's the nice thing about making your own. So you just continue all the way around. I will speed this video up a little bit, just so that you don't have to sit here and watch me do this. Okay, so now we're coming around to the end. What we want to do is just bring this right up to close to where we started our first stitch and bring your needle out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this thread, and I think I forgot to mention, but you definitely want to double your thread or use a stronger thread because we're going to be pulling on it. You don't want your thread to break. So just grab your thread and just give it a little tug. Basically, we're wanting to make a little circle here. So on the end where I'd knotted it, I can grab there and pull as well. So basically, you just want to make a little pouchy thing. This is going to be the main part of our pin cushion. All right, so once you get it so that it's a fairly small hole, you're going to take your stuffing and you're just going to start and put little bits in at a time. Okay, so just shove it all in there. You want this to be fairly firm but not real stuffed real full because we were going to put some string around there and we want it to be able to have some movement. Okay, so just pull this in and see where we're at. See, I don't think that's quite enough, so I'm going to put a little bit more in here. It's amazing how much stuffing you can get into a little project this size. All right, so let's give that another tug and see how it's going. Find my other end. Okay. Okay, you want to pull that little hole closed. Have a look on the other side. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tug this so that the knot is inside and the hole is closed up pretty good. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm just going to stitch it closed. So what I do is just go from the to the opposite side and use your needle and thread, whoops, to close up this hole. So just go back and forth, 4 or 5 times. You want to make sure that that hole is going to stay closed. This would be the back of the pin cushion. All right. Just going around, making sure that that hole is closed and that it's secure so that it won't come apart. All right, I think maybe I'll do one more here and then I will tie off my thread. All right, And then to tie it off, I just go through some material a few times and then go through the loop. Just make a knot. Like I say, you just don't want the thread to come undone. All right, so we'll take our little scissors and snip it off. All right, so there we have our little pincushion, okay? The start of our pincushion. So the next thing we want to do is to take our embroidery floss. You want a fairly long piece of embroidery floss. You can also use like a thick thread. You want something, we're gonna go through the center here and wrap this around. So you want something that's gonna be fairly strong because we're gonna be tugging on this. Okay, so let's do this. Get a fairly long piece. I don't know how long, just a fairly long piece. All right, so put this aside. All right, so we'll continue on here. So now what we want to do is we want to take a embroidery needle, something that's got a fairly big hole in it so we can thread our embroidery floss onto there. So I just fold it over and then push it through the hole. All right, so let me get this all straightened out here. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put a knot on the end of this. So just create a fairly big knot. We want to be able to start here but not have our thread go all the way through. Okay, so here I have my embroidery floss, and I'm going to start from the back of the pincushion, and I want to go in through the hole that we closed up and go right out through the center of the top of the pincushion and pull that all the way through. All right. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just take our embroidery floss and we're just going to flop it around, go back up through the center again of our pincushion. Try to get in the same spot if you can. Okay, so coming up in that hole. Oh, there we go. And don't worry if these aren't totally even, we can kind of move them around a bit once we get all of these on. Okay, so see how when we pull that together, it kind of creates a little crease. All right, so now I'm going to go directly across, and I'm going to go up through the center again. Okay, and we're just going to continue doing this around. Basically, we want to create 6 little triangles, if you will. Okay, so put your needle in through the center, come up through the middle, give it a pull. Now, as we're doing this, we want to keep these fairly snug so it's pulling in, and again, we can adjust later. Okay, so do this one, come up through the center, and another one. Probably could have used to put some more stuffing in here, but you know what, it's still going to work. Oops, I have a bit of a snag there. And one more here. All right, so now you just want to make sure that these are all pulled in snug. Like I say, you can kind of grab on them and pull them and adjust them. And okay. Okay, so now it's starting to take a shape. Kind of looks like a little pumpkin, I guess. I'm just going to try to get this one here a little snugger. Just start with this one. There, that looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and forth through the center here a few times just to secure that. Just to make sure that it's good and snug. All right. All right, so here we have our little pincushion kind of formed. Okay, so you can move your little strings around, make sure all your little sections are all evened out there. All right, so now what we're going to do is, once we've tied this off on the back, just tie it off here. Okay, and now I'm just going to run my embroidery floss through here just to hide the thread inside. Okay, and then I will just snip that off. And you can't even see where it is, but the little thread is inside there. All right, so now we're good with that piece. We can set it aside for now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 8 pieces, our 8 circles that we had cut out. We're going to fold them in half and fold them in half. So each one of these will create part of our little petal for the base of our pincushion. So you're going to take and you're going to fold each one of these. So what I'd like to do is take my thread, put a knot on the end of it, and just start doing a running stitch again, just on the very edge of the unfinished part of your circle. Okay, so I'll show you this again. All right, so push that through, and you want to leave your material on your thread. So you're just going to pull it, sorry about that. You just want to take and pull this all the way down to the other end. And leave it on the thread, okay? So then you're going to take your second piece, and if you have right sides, you know, make sure your right side is facing out. So if this is my right side, I'm going to fold my circle in half. Okay, fold my circle in half, give it a little finger press, and then fold it in half again and matching up your sides. Okay, so you're creating, now when you're adding these on to your thread, you want to make sure that you want to make sure that your folded part is all going the same way. So in my case, it's to the right, so I'm going to make sure that this piece here, these 2 pieces, are on the right side when I start. Take your needle and just fairly close to the edge, again, 1/8 of an inch type thing, and just go back and forth, threading your needle. Now you don't have to go all the way, you can go part way and pull it through, whatever works best for you. All right, so finish this one off here. Now I also always try to end with my needle on the side facing me. So I start with my needle on the side facing me, going down, and when I finish, I start on the side facing me, going up. That way I just feel that the petals all end up kind of the same way. So again, we'll take our piece, right side's down, fold it in half, give it a little finger press, fold it in half, okay, give it a little finger press, and start going. So I'm just going to continue. You would do this with all 8 of your pieces, okay? So I'm just going to continue on doing this, and once I'm finished, I will come back and we can move on to the next step. So just continue on with your needle and thread and weaving in and out a basting stitch for all of your 3-inch circles. All right. Okay, so now I've got all of my little pieces all in a line here on my thread. So now what we're going to do is, you can sit here and you can kind of mess around with them a little bit, you know, try to get them evenly spaced all around. This is going to be the base of our little pincushion. Okay, so once you have them pretty much how you like them, just take your thread and take the first petal and the last petal and just put a little stitch to tie them together. So you're joining a circle with these. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring my needle through back and forth a few times just to join them together. All right, so now I'm just going to tie off my thread. There we go. Okay, so now we can trim our thread off. All right, so now here's our little base, and our little pincushion is going to sit on top of that. It's going to be cute, eh? Yeah, I think. Okay, so now what we need to do is we're going to take our 3-inch circle that we cut out. I'm using the same fabric as I did for the top. You can use the same as this, same as the base if you want. So basically we're going to do another running stitch all the way around, and this is going to be made, we're making this so that it will cover up the bottom and create a nice base for our pincushion. Okay, so just do your running stitch all the way around, same as we did on all the other ones. All right, so now we're back at the beginning here where we started. And again, we just want to make kind of a little circle. Remember that piece of cardboard we cut out? That you're going to insert right inside of this. The reason, you can just use a piece of felt and glue it onto the back of this. I like this because it gives the pincushion a little bit more stability, a little bit flatter bottom. Okay, so again, we will, once you get your cardboard in there, just pull your material and it makes a nice little circle. So again, we need to tie off our thread. So I'm just going to go across to the other side. Now you're not going to see this, so it really doesn't matter what it looks like, but basically you just want to tie this off so that it's not going to come apart. And plus it's going to be glued to the bottom of the flower or the petal base. So all right, so I think that's good enough. So now I'm just going to tie a couple of little knots in here. This is actually a really quick and easy little project. You could use scraps, which is really nice. And if you know, with Mother's Day coming up, if you know mothers or grandmothers or aunts that sew, this would be a cute little gift that you could make for them. All right, so now we have our pieces ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to flip this over so that the wrong side is facing up. Just going to run a small bead of glue around here just to help hold things in place. So again, just a small bead of glue. This will help keep all the petals together so that none of them will be sliding out. Okay, there we go. So that's just basically, like I say, going to hold them together so that they're not going to slide out from underneath the pincushion. So now we're going to take our base and I'm just going to run a bead of glue around the outside edge of the little circle we created. Okay, just get a fair amount of glue on there, close to the edge as possible. And then we're going to take this and we're going to place it on the bottom of this. Okay, flip it over and press it down. Careful, that glue is hot. Ow, ow, ow. All right, so just press those down. And that will create our base for our pincushion. All right, so now we are ready to go here to put our pincushion on here. So again, I'm gonna take and I'm gonna run a bead of glue around this outer edge here of the petal base. Okay, just get my glue going here. This is actually a project that even the kids could help you with. I mean, there's no sewing machine involved. I mean, the thing you'd want to be careful with, of course, is with the hot glue gun, okay? But they could definitely do this. So make sure you put the base on the bottom, center your pin cushion, and push it down. Okay. Just push that down. See, isn't that getting to be very cute? I just think it's so cute. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is you want to put some sort of a button or something in the middle to hide all where we went in and out with our threads. So I went digging through my stash and I found a blue button and just a very pretty little rhinestone. And it just so happens that the stone fits perfectly in the center of my button. So I'm going to put that right in there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to glue this little rhinestone or this stone onto my button. Okay, so just going to take my hot glue again and run a bead of glue in here. All right, so I take my little stone and put it over the glue. Now you could have a smaller button or a little something, I don't know, a jewel or something, and same idea, right? You're just gonna put something to cover up all that little mess that we made in the center there. All right, so here's my little guy. So now that my stone is on there, just gonna put some glue in here. And yeah, I'm putting a fair amount in there because this is a big button and I wanna make sure it's going to stay. I don't want it to fall out. Center it up. I'm gonna give it a push. Okay, I'm just going to hold that there for a second. Let that hot glue cool down and adhere everything together. All right. There we go. And there is our little pin cushion. See? Look at that. So cute. Put a few pins in there. Well, I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you decide to try making one of these, I would really love to see some of your creations. You know, everyone has different ideas, different materials, different bits and baubles. Anyways, if you would like to show me, you could share on my Facebook page at Krista's So Crafty. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye for now.